So Payback's over with, and now we can finally move on to Backlash. Um, Now, the kickoff had a segment of Miz TV with Finn Balor, but I'll get to that when I talk about Enzo Amore and Big Cass fighting Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson of the club. Yeah, I did not care for this match. Just like in the previous video on the build up to this show, I had no care whatsoever, so I didn't even talk about it. It ends with Enzo getting the win for his team, and okay, when they cut the promo where he says there's a lot of things I regret, does being a sexual harasser mean one? Because that Rusev storyline still sucks. Because that's what I was mostly thinking. So, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson losing was confusing. I thought they were building them back up, but no, instead they're building up Big Cass and Enzo again. Seriously, they should just... Enzo and Cass should have just went to SmackDown Live during the Superstar Shakeup. If not Enzo and Cass, then Gallows and Anderson. They could reunite the club and be a dominant force on SmackDown because God knows Raw's not going to do anything with them. Playing the creative team, especially with their July pay-per-view. Oh God, I'm going to talk about that. Enzo gets the win for his team, yada yada yada. Let's move on. Now, The Miz hosts Miz TV with Finn Balor, and it's basically every interview you ever saw. And however, there is one interesting element. They hint at Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar, and I'd be alright with that, though most likely Brock Lesnar's going to win because they're going to build up Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns 2 at WrestleMania next year. Really hope they don't really do that, and they actually have balls and give it to Finn Balor. So, yeah, that pretty much was it. Finn was going to end it in the noble way, but then Miz says, "No, I'm more being beaten up," and then gets properly beaten up. So that's the end for that. Now let's get to the beginning of the actual show. Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. Okay, this match... I knew this match was going to be good, but I had a feeling heading into this match, yeah, either Chris Jericho is going to win by disqualification or he's going to lose the match to Kevin Owens, to the face of America. And I'm surprised I have not heard a single person say, well, at least he's better than the other guy we got, who's the face of America right now in real life. In his eyes, at least. But moving on from political stuff, Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, they had a hell of a match. The ending was confusing, but I liked when Kevin Owens, the show-stealing moment of the match was when Kevin Owens uses his finger alone to get to the rope when he's in the walls of Jericho. That's the most hilarious part. Kevin Owens is just so fun. But then Chris Jericho started acting a little bit like a heel for a moment when he decided to start focusing on the arm, and he seemingly relished in it, and I'm like, yeah, isn't that what a heel should be doing right now? Not the face? Unless they're building Chris Jericho up as a heel again, though that probably won't work this time because he's just too popular, and there's virtually no one else on the roster because WWE crapped on every single face guy and ripped it to shreds. Yeah. So Chris Jericho surprisingly defeats Kevin Owens by submission to win the U.S. title, and I'm thinking okay, I thought Chris Jericho was going to win by disqualification, mostly because they seemingly hinted Elias Sampson to attack Chris Jericho when Chris Jericho put him on the list on the grounds that he was the drifter. And I was thinking to myself, wait, why didn't Elias Sampson come out? In fact, I didn't even see him at the show at all. I was honestly expecting him to get his guitar, wham Chris Jericho over the head with it while he does the walls of Jericho and Kevin Owens just before Kevin Owens taps out. And we get Elias Sampson versus Chris Jericho the next night on Raw, and that's the end of Chris Jericho's story since he leaves to go on Fozzy. So now he's going to show up on SmackDown, most likely. So I'm like, wait, so is Chris Jericho going to take the U.S. belt and take it for several months? Or is he going to drop it to Kevin Owens the next night because I don't know. Either way, it's just a confusing booking style. Like, instead of giving Kevin Owens a run with the US belt and making it great again, make the US title great again. They instead just gave it back to Chris Jericho, so yeah, I'm confused about that. If they do the rematch clause and go with the route that everyone else is going to go, then that would just have been a complete waste of time, and it might as well just went to Elias Sampson versus Chris Jericho. Now we get to a match that looked like, yes, they were doing their damnedest to steal the show. Austin Aries versus Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship. And, okay, it was so close to being a show stealer. But then they went with the cheap route, with Neville getting a disqualification victory. Well, Aries gets the disqualification victory. Neville caused it by throwing the referee over Austin Aries. But honestly, I was expecting one of two things. Either Neville abuses an Aries repaired socket, or TJ Perkins gets involved. And that causes Jack Gallagher to get involved. And so forth. But no, they instead went with disqualification. We can't afford this match to be completely great. Because then that would mean the Cruiserweights are awesome, and we have been letting them hate TJ Perkins for nothing. So, yeah, Neville, he's still Cruiserweight champion, which I'm all for. But this kind of ends his pay-per-view streak that he was on. He was 6-0, like they were hinting that, oh, maybe they're going to do another pay-per-view streak. That would have actually been awesome. Would have given the Cruiserweight division more time to fully develop and give its own identity with that. Though it does come off weird because they just ended Charlotte's reign after Fastlane. But then WWE said, no, that's too interesting. That would make the Cruiserweights too noticeable and get too much public eye on them. We got to make them look as complacent as possible. They just have to deliver good matches. We don't need them to have exotic storylines. So, Austin Aries looks like he's still going to continue his war with Neville. That eventually will lead to Austin Aries winning the belt. So, 205 Live, I don't know what's going to happen for them on there. But Raw, yeah, I'm pretty sure Neville's going to brag. Then Austin Aries is going to come out. Then TJ Perkins comes out. Then possibly Jack Gallagher comes out. And they all brawl. So, yeah, this match was good. Like, there were some highlights in it. It was so close to becoming a show-stealing match. But, like I said, the disqualification ending really kind of tainted it for me. And now we get to the Hardy Boys versus Cesaro and Sheamus. Now, okay, this was actually a pretty good match. So... This was honestly a pretty good match. I was not expecting it to be pretty good. Like, Cesaro and Sheamus, they did their damnedest to get the tag team belts. They failed miserably. And Matt Hardy, he was mostly the highlight of that match. Like, yeah, Jeff and Matt Hardy are highlights in every match when they do their style, but Matt doing the delete gestures, the broken gimmick, and this time he doesn't just throw his arm in the air and swings it to the side. He actually screams out the word delete. And you can hear a touch of his, quote, Shakespearean accent. So I'm thinking to myself, is this the sign that they got the broken gimmick? Like, Ruby Hardy said that wasn't true because there were reports saying that the Hardy Boys and WWE got the broken gimmick. So does this mean that the Hardys are going to become broken soon, especially after what happened at the end? Because Cesaro and Sheamus looked like they were going to respect their opponents with accept the defeat and move on. But no, Cesaro and Sheamus instead, like I knew, attacked the Hardy Boys and therefore turned heel. Which I thought was going to be a mixed bag because Sheamus I get, but Cesaro, yeah, it's Cesaro. We can't really hate him at this point. Like, even in the Real Americans gimmick they were doing, as confusing as that was, people didn't really hate Cesaro. They still loved him because, oh, you're a great wrestler. You can do well in the ring. It's just that Vince hates your guts for some reason. So, Cesaro turning heel, I'm pretty sure this is Vince's attempt once more to destroy his popularity and that's going to fail miserably. So you're going to have to strip everything that makes Cesaro, and that's it. Just leave him bare bones. So hopefully they never do that, because then Vince will be a fucking idiot. More than he already is. So Cesaro and Sheamus, like, it looks like... Also, I think Jeff Hardy lost a tooth in the process. Because there are shots of Jeff Hardy not having a gaping hole, and I'm like, did he actually lose a tooth in the match? Because they actually kept saying that on the commentary. I just thought that was a joke. But no, it kind of looks like Jeff Hardy lost a tooth. Huh. So, I'm curious to know, are they going to make the Hardy Boys broken? Because I would love to see the Broken Hardys go to war with Cesaro and Sheamus, since they're the only good tag team left, since Carl and Anderson are now jobbing to Enzo Amore and Big Cass. Enzo Amore is the sexual harasser, and Big Cass is his enforcer on that. Yeah, they need to be built back up for the storyline, and putting them on pre-shows isn't going to help their cause. So, yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen on that. So the Hardy Boys, they actually presented a clear good matchup with Cesaro and Sheamus, even though it wasn't their usual hardcore style. But once more, the Hardy Boys proved they still got it, and Matt Hardy doing his broken trademarks is, honestly, I'm pretty sure it's pissing off TNA. Oh wait, I mean Impact Wrestling. I'm pretty certain they're being pissed off that you can't do that. We own the trademark. See our YouTube videos? They say trademarked. But don't underestimate the power of the broken universe. And all the delete chants. And obsolete. There was also an obsolete. And I think there was a brother Nero. But yeah, I really like the Hardy Boys as a nostalgic act right now is more successful than the Dudley Boys, I'll say that. But the Hardy Boys winning tag team gold, well, silver, like they automatically became more successful than the Dudley Boys when they returned for their nostalgic run. So, and originally I found out that Bully Ray was supposed to happen, but they pulled out at the last minute because, oh, that would have been too interesting. That's my best interpretation. So now we get to a match that actually rivaled with Austin Aries and Neville, Alexa Bliss and Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship. This was actually a good match, and when I found out Bayley was in her hometown of San Juan, California, I'm pretty sure I got that wrong. San Jose, California, I mean. I was like, okay, I'm going with a 90% chance that Vince makes Bayley lose. Because Vince's logic says they can't win in their hometown, they need to lose because we have a heel and we need to give them more heat. Yeah, that doesn't always work, Vince. Just let them win in their hometown match. So, like, they made Randy Orton lose on his birthday to Kane, of all people. So, yeah. So, Alexa Bliss and Bayley, they tore their house down. It was awesome. I was surprised that Sasha Banks didn't get involved. Like, I was honestly expecting that. And then later on, Nia Jax probably would get involved. But they didn't do that. Instead, Alexa Bliss gets a clean victory over Bayley. And that surprised me because I was thinking, oh, Alexa Bliss, she's gonna... Oh, Bayley's gonna probably make it, but probably not, since this is her hometown. Therefore, she has the mistaken disadvantage here. But Alexa Bliss, like, I was honestly expecting Charlotte to be the first woman to hold both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships, but no, they gave it to Alexa Bliss. Probably because, and this is just my theory right now, probably because of what happened with Charlotte and Sasha Banks throughout last year of 2016. I think they realized, yeah, we gave her too many achievements, so let's just give it to Alexa Bliss. And the fact that it was clean surprised me. I was honestly expecting something like there is a say you can make the excuse, oh, well, Bayley hit her head in the ring post, so that doesn't count. But at the same time, it wasn't because of outside interference, so yeah, it was clean. So Alexa Bliss is now Raw Women's Champion, and hopefully they don't do the constant switch pot potato with it again, because then that would just be pointless and be stupid. But let's get to the matches that everyone wanted to see. First is the House of Horrors match, and it took place at a rundown house. Well, at least looked like it rundown. And I kind of liked it. Like, the baby dolls were disturbing imagery. That was actually pretty good. But it seems like WWE is trying their damnedest to recreate Final Deletion and Delete or Decay. But here's the thing. Whereas that had charm, over the top, and a build-up to the fight in Final Deletion and Delete or Decay, this one relies on a past build-up but don't really build it up during the actual segment. And the other one is that, well, that's just the problem with WWE. They're trying too hard. They just don't let the wrestlers let loose and do whatever. Instead, they say, we got a deadline here, people. We got a deadline. And we also have restrictions. We can't do this, we can't do that because we're politically correct and PG. So we can't do that. So it really makes all these restrictions hinder that, and it makes me worry for the broken Hardys, because would they be like the ones that we saw in TNA, or will we just say TNA was superior with that because they let the Hardys go all out? And Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, like, it ends with Bray Wyatt toppling a fridge on Orton, which realistically could probably kill him. And then Bray Wyatt goes into a limo and drives out to the arena, and I'm trying to wonder, why would the driver just listen to whatever the guy who just got in there say? Oh, he must have read the script. Anyways, we get back to that later. So, because the match is supposed to end inside the arena, even though they could have just done a more ballsy move and just have the fight take place inside the House of Horrors with a referee official like Final Deletion did. No, we can't do that. That'd be making it too interesting. Oh, okay. So now we got Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe, and this match was pretty good. It was alright. Samoa Joe losing, however, really kind of concerned me a little bit because, the reason why I didn't complain like Triple H lost to a crippled Seth Rollins is because, yeah, Triple H was going to lose either way, and this really doesn't hurt him since he's a part-time guy. Add to the fact he's kind of lost almost every WrestleMania since he transitioned into a part-time role. But moving on from that, Seth Rollins, like, they did a homage to Bret Hart defeating Roddy Piper at WrestleMania many years ago by a roll-up, or by the Roddy Piper submission, then Bret Hart transitioned it into a pinfall attempt, but Samoa Joe kicks out. But, moving on, Seth Rollins' victory kind of feels a little clustered a bit. Like, I was honestly expecting, like, there are two ways they could do this. Either Samoa Joe defeats Seth Rollins, or they find a way to protect him by having Samoa Joe cripple him basically even more. Like, stop the match, the referee starts to feel more compassion towards Seth Rollins and tries to make Samoa Joe stop. Like, that would have actually been interesting. But no, they didn't do that. Oh, and I gotta mention, when Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe were teaming up, and I honestly thought they would have been the two-man power trip, like Stone Cold and Triple H were, I was always wondering, wait, but they never finished their feud in NXT, it just sort of stopped. There was no conclusion to that. Whereas Triple H and Austin had a conclusion, this one didn't. I mean, like, it was never explained why Austin and Triple H teamed up later on, but, like, still, at least the feud had a conclusion, therefore they could do a team up. But, yeah, I was always curious, like, the NXT feud never ended. It just sort of just stopped. So Seth Rollins defeats Samoa Joe in the never say die attitude. And then we get back to Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. Bray Wyatt's in pain. He walks through the arena. And for some reason, some guys in suits step back away from Bray Wyatt. And I'm like, oh, isn't that adorable? Thinking Bray Wyatt's a legitimate threat. Oh, if only that was true. If only he was booked like one. Granted, he nearly killed Orton with crushing him with a fridge, but yeah, considering how the match ended, yeah, those guys either are complete cowards or they are just being told to be playing stupid. So Bray Wyatt looks like he's won, and Randy Orton, by the powers of contrivance and the fact that this was all pre-taped initially, Randy Orton certainly makes it there out of nowhere, and also because no explanation is explained how he got there from the house to the actual arena. They don't even provide an explanation whatsoever. Like, I'm a guy who wants an explanation. Sorry, but that's just how I operate. Like, they could have done this obvious things, like maybe Orton managed to get in the back of the car underneath the trunk. They could have done that, but no, they had to say, oh, he's probably under the fridge still. And therefore would have to have made it all the way back on foot, somehow get a steel chair, get in the ring, be behind Bray Wyatt, and not look winded whatsoever. Just seething in pain. Yeah. Yeah, I don't buy that. Oh boy. So, it looks like Orton's going to win this match, unfortunately. Then Jinder Mahal's Bollywood boys come to the rescue. And then Jinder Mahal himself hitting Orton with the belt twice. And to add insult to injury to Bray Wyatt, Orton still gets an RKO on him. And then Bray Wyatt, after Jinder Mahal struck Orton with the belt again, it turned into Bray Wyatt getting a Sister Abigail victory and wins once more, thus ending their feud. And while I'm glad Bray Wyatt ended the feud with Orton this time, it kind of comes off as a little tacked on because, well, Bray Wyatt didn't have the say. It could have ended on his terms, but instead it ended on Jinder Mahal's terms. And that kind of damaged Bray Wyatt even more, I believe. Like, the victory, that helps him to an extent, but the way he won kind of damaged everything. So, that was rather unfortunate. And, yeah, the fact that it wasn't for the title didn't sort of help matters. Like, I get why they didn't put the title on the line, but though they never explained it, so I had to come up with my own logic. So, yeah, Bray Wyatt won the match, and I gotta be kind of honest, Jinder Mahal, like, they could just do the risky route and just have Bray Wyatt win clean. We gotta have, like, it treats Orton's feud with Bray Wyatt as an afterthought, more like we gotta build up Jinder Mahal for his Orton, because that's the feud of the century. Oh boy, no it's not. Like, I'm giving Jinder Mahal a chance. Like, unlike a lot of people who have initially just said, nope, that sucks. I'm trying to give Jinder Mahal a chance, but considering that Bray Wyatt is one of my favorites, and the fact that he's mistreated by the creative team because, well, they hate him for some reason, probably because he's Dusty Rhodes' creation, not Vince's. Yeah, that could make sense. Yeah, I'm trying to process how Bray Wyatt is not quit yet. Like, he could just take his Wyatt gimmick, go somewhere else, go to TNA even, and be a bigger star there. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure WWE will fight for the Wyatt family gimmick. Though, they didn't try with the Ryback gimmick, though that's because it was Ryback and they didn't seem to care about this. So, after that, Jinder Mahal still leads with the belt, and Bray Wyatt somewhat celebrates in pain, and he treats this as the victory of grandeur. The ultimate victory for him. Except it wasn't. It just ended with the way to build up Orton versus Mahal. And I gotta be honest, part of me gets the feeling they're trying to treat Jinder Mahal like Muhammad Hassan. like, okay, that won't work. Like, I was thinking to myself, wait, a guy who's incredibly ripped, wears a suit, um, and wears a turban, are they trying to make him Muhammad Hassan? That didn't work back then and won't work now. I don't like it could have worked back then, but due to certain conditions at the time, yeah, it'd be very. I might talk about Muhammad Hassan, but and what was originally planned for him at one point. But yeah. Now we get to our main event, the giant spectacle of injured Roman Reigns versus the mighty Braun Strowman. And they highlight the shit out of the whole Roman Reigns is hurt, Roman Reigns is hurt, Roman Reigns is hurt, Roman Reigns is hurt. And I'm thinking like, yeah, they're doing it. Like, Braun, he gets the biggest victory of his career, and WWE will say there's an excuse to that. Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, like, they went through hell and back and forth. It was a bloody massacre, especially for Reigns. And Braun Strowman, every attack Braun had a counter to it, and it was just chaotic and crazy. The win, it'd be like Goku and Vegeta fighting to an extent, but not as destructive to that level. But like you could like, it's destructive, but not as Goku Vegeta destructive. I don't even know why I made that comparison. And plus, I'm pretty sure I pissed off Dragon Ball Z fans saying, "Don't you dare compare him to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns sucks. Get out." So, Braun Strowman defeats Roman Reigns, and then afterwards, Braun Strowman basically attempts murder once more, much to the audience's delight. Their bloodthirsty craving for death delight. And Roman Reigns is hurt. Like, I can't tell if this was real or not, but Roman Reigns looked like he was having internal bleeding. So unless they gave him a blood capsule to fake blood coming out of his mouth like they did with Triple H and him, I'm pretty certain I would be concerned for him because, well, he's having internal bleeding. That's not really a good sign. And here's the thing. WWE didn't just, and the commentators, they refused to actually say, "Oh, Roman Reigns is bleeding." Like, they just kept saying, "Oh, he's suffering from internal injuries." They just say he's probably suffering from internal bleeding. Like, we have it every day. I'm pretty sure every kid has had paper cuts before. I'm pretty sure they know what blood is. This politically correct ideology you're in isn't really helping your case. Especially since I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why Bad Blood's not the name of the July Raw pay-per-view. So the show pretty much ends on a somber note, and then I watched a few minutes of Raw talk, and Braun Strowman attempts to murder Reigns again. Yeah. Yeah, oh, and fans were chanting, "You deserve it! Thank you, Strowman! You deserved it!" Because a man being murdered is clearly the proper thing. And it's warm welcomed. Yeah. And now I'm thinking to myself, wait, how about this? Braun Strowman beats Brock Lesnar since that's clearly what they're going to build up to. And instead of having Brock Lesnar lose to Braun Strowman and make Braun Strowman the next beast incarnate, instead Brock Lesnar's going to bury Strowman back into obscurity before he was in the Wyatt family, and reduce all that build-up they made for in complete waste, and build up Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Why not just have Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman as the main event of WrestleMania next year? Like, there's a story there. Like, I know there's a story for Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, but here's the major difference. Strowman's full-time. Brock isn't. Yeah, that's the major difference here. And, yeah, I would honestly prefer to see Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns at the main event of WrestleMania next year than actually seeing Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns again. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the match. I'll talk about that in a future video. But I don't like that they're going to do this all over again. Why not just put Braun Strowman in the main event of WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, even though Roman Reigns has already main evented the show 3 times in a row? Yeah. Now let's get to a major elephant in the room for WWE, which they've been suffering for the last 2 days. It's the next Raw pay-per-view it's the pay-per-view Raw pay-per-view in July. It is called, and I'm not kidding, Great Balls of Fire. Okay, you can't say that with a straight face. It was originally going to be called Bad Blood. They had announced it as Bad Blood. But WWE changed their minds literally at the last minute to call it Great Balls of Fire. And a report says that the reason why they did this is because Brian Pillman died the same day on the Bad Blood pay-per-view decades ago. That didn't stop them from doing Bad Blood 2 years in a row in 2003 and 4. So, what's the real reason? Instead of exploiting the death as their excuse to say to sponsors, oh, we can't have Bad Blood in the name, change it to Great Balls of Fire. And I'm curious as to know who the hell came up with that idea. Either Vince did, because it sounds like Vince like, this is the pay-per-view name I would expect from the 80s. Yeah, or a WCW pay-per-view from the 80s. Or even a match even. Like, remember the Monster Truck match the Giant and Hulk Hogan had at Halloween Havoc of, what was it? 95, 96. Yeah, 95. But Great Balls of Fire, that's the best thing you could come up with? I would not be surprised if Vince or Dunn came up with this and everyone just... And even though everyone's secretly seething like, oh my god, that's a stupid idea. So yeah, Great Balls of Fire is also going to be the place where Brock Lesnar defends his Universal Championship. And it's going to sound incredibly awkward on promos. Like, Becky Lynch, Big E were making fun of it. And now I'm curious as to know, will Braun Strowman yell, I will defeat you at Great Balls of Fire! And I'm thinking like, oh man, that is so pathetic. Like, I can't take it seriously. Like, I can't even imagine Paul Heyman saying that was a good idea. Like, I'm pretty certain he's going to say that's the stupidest name ever on television. And most likely get punished for it by physical beatdown. Like, I don't see how that name's going to make anyone laugh. And I feel sorry for the people going there. Not for the quality of matches that will most likely take place, but... Could you really say with a straight face, hey, I'm going to Great Balls of Fire? Yeah, I don't think they would say that with a straight face. So that ends my thoughts on Payback and my brief tangent on the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view name. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.